Welcome to the weekend wrap-up edition of the Entertainment Roundup. I'm J77. Let's get right straight to it. First and foremost, I'm not going to talk about any major stories, except for one. I am also going to give my opinion because a friend of mine did ask me did I ever follow the AAF. My opinion on the XFL and Vince McMahon's pretty much below the property level salary, which caused one professional athlete to quit. I'm just going to give you my feeling on that because they're going to be intertwined with each other. But I want to talk about Bethesda, the Fallout 76 fiasco, which has pretty much lasted almost a year. It's been a year since this game have came out, and the problems just simply won't end. Now, I am not a major gamer. I'm not going to sit here and say that I know everything about gamer. If you listen to my video game music reviews, you know I talk about the music, about the games, more so than the game itself. It's the only reason why I didn't put Bethesda, or messed up stuff, I like to call them, because they've been messing up all throughout the year, in that category. Let me get that clear, because number one, I wanted to keep it as just music related, not something that is general news itself. But this is very important. So important that I think that the consumers, us, me, those who are listening to it, those who are hardcore gamers need to understand something. As long as you continue to pay for this service, as long as you continue to buy into the garbage, which is your own money, they will continue to produce garbage and make lame-ass excuse to the point where, from what I understand from hardcore gamers like the Quarantine, Young Yang, Review Tech USA, I recommend you all to look at their videos. They are great at what they do. They will give you insights and give you different opinions of what they do. I feel that they are well better suited to talk about this stuff than I am. And I'm being very honest about that. I give them guys mad props. I've been watching them for almost a year since I've heard about them. More so with Review Tech. I've watched this show before, multiple years. But all of them together, I give mad respect to them. And yes, of course, the man who I watched from the very beginning and continue to watch, Angry Joe. I think these guys combined can give you different insights as to what's been going on in the gaming world. And I encourage you guys to watch them, support them. They may not all be for your suiting because everybody have different styles, different tastes, and different opinions on what they expect their gamers to be. But I think they're all the best at what they do, and they have very much passion, unfiltered, unapologetic, no connection towards the gaming industry that pretty much can bribe the critics to giving them a good game. They will tell you what it is and will give you a rating according to what their personal experience are. Okay, so let me make that very clear. That I think they're the best ones for that. Doesn't mean I don't have an opinion. I'm going to give my opinion. But I will say this before and I say it again. If you continue to buy their products, they're going to continue doing what they're doing. They don't hear the protests, the strikes, or the stuff that's I've been hearing in the last 24 hours. They don't care about that. What they care about is the bottom line. And if you continue to buy into the products, they're going to continue to shortchange you on the stuff. The problems really rise from the very beginning since last year. They brung out and they shelled out an incomplete product. And they admitted this was not complete, and they sold out anyway. And this is something that is unacceptable. When you're paying $60 or more for this game, because some of them cost even more, you expect the game to be in working order, to be in complete order. It was not. And what makes this more sickening to me, with this whole now $100 subscription for a service they should have already been on the game, is they're trying to justify it. They're saying, well, the fans want this. The fans asked for this. The fans request for this. Yes, the fans requested it, but they didn't expect to pay for it and have a yearly subscription. This has been a total disaster, a total pretty much slap in the face, and really pretty pinpoint what I feel is definitely wrong with the gaming industry as a whole. Bethesda is just a small part of what is truly wrong with the way the publishers have been pushing their games. And it makes me sick. I refuse to buy a next-gen console for that very reason. I'm not going to pay money for a game that one I don't really physically own, because most of the games now are digitally downloaded, and that's done on purpose because God forbid they really do feel that used games are a problem. But a game that is not complete and utterly broken. Look at what's going on with WWE's 2K20. It is unacceptable for that to be in that conditional state. And they can make all the excuses they want. Oh, there's a rush job and everything else. They want to make the product hate. If the publishers really care about the product they have, they would have told WWE, hey, listen, we can't put this out here yet. It's not ready. It's not been tested yet. We can't show this out because, number one, there's bugs in it. They did it anyway, and I got to see tons of videos about how bad, and even actual proof of this, of how bad this game is. And mind you, this is a $60 game. This is unacceptable. That's why I won't shell out $500+ for a system. Why should I? If the game itself is supposed to come with a system, it's going to be broken. And this is the problem here. As long as you continue to shell out money to these people, they will continue to do the same damn thing. They have no reason to change. They're pretty much proud of what they're doing. And will throw it back at the consumers. And what made it even worse is the description that they have, the description that they are so proud to shell out. They're proud of that. They're ecstatic about that. They have no remorse, no sense of morals, and you shouldn't expect morals from a corporation. They're faceless people whose only design is to make money and more money as much as possible. And lately, the way the gaming industry has been done, making money is still not enough for them. If they sell 10 million copies, that's not good enough. 20 million copies, that's not good enough. We need more. We need more. We need to put paywalls. We need to put loot crates. We need to put all this other stuff. And it's coming out of control to the point where now lawmakers, and rightfully so, are getting involved in terms of how they're going to deal with this pandemic that has been hurting the gaming industry. But the power really lies on the consumer. It really lies on them. Personally, when I heard about that, if I was a consumer of Bethesda, I would never even pay no mind to that. I wouldn't even buy it. You gave me an incomplete game that's still broken, and now you want me to charge $100 for something that should have been on for free? You're still going to keep this broken? And the only way I can actually have a full experience, if that's even possible, is I got to pay $100 more to you for a game that should have been fixed in the beginning? And what's topping off, the thing that you are advertising is even more broken when it first came out. Makes me wonder, do you guys even care about your reputation, about the quality of your products? This is poor relations at its finest. This is, I don't really care about the consumer. We're just trying to milk this as much as possible. We know that we're going to get a couple people that's going to actually buy into this thing, that's going to, defend us from tooth and nail, and we're going to keep doing this because God knows we need to make as much money as possible because this is a disaster which they themselves created. Enough is enough. I'm not gonna spend $500 or $600 of my hard-earned money to a system, and everybody will say, well, it's not PlayStation 5, PlayStation fault, or Xbox fault, or Nintendo fault. Technically, there is. You can say what you want about Nintendo. They used to have, and in many ways they still do, a sense of quality control. When you have a QC, that's what they are, quality control, QCs, their job is to make sure that everything goes accordingly. To make sure that the games are good. If the game is not good, they're supposed to tell them, hey, this and this is broken. You need to address it before releasing. But everything is crunching. It's a deadline. We need to push this out no matter what. And this is the result we get. And it makes the gaming publishing look so bad. Do anybody care about the quality of their games anymore? Do anyone, including the gaming system themselves, care about this quality before? Because here's the thing. The last time this kind of stuff happened at an alarming rate, it nearly destroyed the gaming industry. Atari, which never had any quality control to begin with, never fully recovered. They never recovered from that. Their reputation was ruined, and they paid for it. They still paying for it now. And I'm not even talking about the VHS. What the hell is that, Indiegogo thing was going on? I haven't touched that yet. That's a whole story by itself. And by the way, if I'm an investor of that, I'd be pretty ticked off right now of what's been going on with that project. The lies, the deception, the fact that it's been almost 3 years and nothing came about it. The fact it came into presentation not with the prototype, but some plastic molding. Oh my God. That could be a story by itself. But the whole thing with Bethesda really echoes about my big problem with the publishers in general. This is why I feel that they're actually hurting themselves. They're hurting themselves in terms of the quality of the game. It's not quality anymore. They pretty much is pumping out quantities. Let's make our money not through the gaming system, game itself, but let's make our money through loot crates and everything else. And they'll eat it up. They'll buy it. They'll continue to buy into it. We don't need to change anything. And you know what? The statistics that they're getting shows them that. FIFA, NBA, all of them are not designed for basketball play. They're designed to actually, milk you nickel and dime you every chance you get. Oh, you want to make your team more better? Here, here, open a loot crate. Have imaginary cars you can't take with you, or you can't even transfer to the next game that we're going to come out in the year. They know what they're doing. Everything is designed to make more money on the game system without ever having to put the effort into making that game the best quality game ever. And it makes their studio look terrible. We give EA a lot of heat, which they deserve to have, by the way. But this has been going on with most of these publishers anyhow. Bethesda is doing the same damn thing, and it's just sickening. The warning sign should have came when the fact is that they promised one thing about the bags, the canvas bags, and they bring out this cheap nylon bags. That should have been a sign right there. They didn't care. And then make them dumbass excuse saying, well, we can't afford it. That's not my problem. You promised me a product, and you didn't give me what you promised. And then then have the guts to say you're not getting your money back. And the only reason why you actually had to abide by that code is when a lawsuit was actually threatened by you, which probably you was going to lose because no judge wanted to hear that you backed up on the promise because you couldn't afford to do it. That's not the consumer's fault. That is your fault. And you was going to lose, so you had to apply by that. I don't even know. I can't say what the nuclear, whatever the hell that was. I don't know the condition of that. I know a lot of people was ticked off because they expected something else, a collector's bottle. I'm not surprised by that, how that went out. It's almost like you're promising the world and you're giving very little return. I find it's kind of sickening. It really is. We're at 1 year and you haven't got it right yet. Now here I am, sitting here, talking about you, looking at what they're doing, hearing about the subscription, which, by the way, is an absolute joke. I would not pay for the subscription at all. I would not have paid for any of that kind of stuff. Fix your damn game before you even think about making a subscription. And I understand servers are not cheap. Let me get that clear right now. The servers are not the problem. It was just a server thing. You want to add additional private service, that's fine. You want to charge a monthly fee or weekly fee, that's fine. But do me a favor, have a working freaking game first before you in charge of server. Your game is still not complete. Yeah, you got dedicated loyal fans, but that doesn't excuse the fact is that you still haven't fixed the problems. Over a year, I'm still hearing about this game. How is that possible that I hear about this game? I'll tell you why. One, you had made false promises you know you couldn't keep. The system was running on an old engine that should never have been run. And three, you had bugs and stuff that really made the game almost unplayable. This is a sham. $60 they charged this game, which, by the way, I'm aware it went down to $20 something. But even then, I don't think it's worth the money. And then you had the nerve, the audacity, after saying that some of this stuff will be free because the skins will pay for the for whatever updates you're gonna have. And you have the audacity to come out with this, and on top of it off, it was broken. Come on now. I'm at a loss for words. I'm a loss for words. And I'm upset with this. But not because of what you think. I'm upset because, number one, this has been going on for years. Ever since the introduction of downloadable content, I have been dead set against it. I think I made no secret about it. Not because I think it's a bad idea. I think it's a good idea. But because I knew it was going to lead down to this nonsense. I am not against publishers with quality games. I understand the dark side of it. I understand what the situation about it. I understand that there are good publishers who want to make great games. But it is the overall politics behind it that is really as making these games that could have been classics into what we're seeing right now. Because it's no longer about the quality of the game. It's about how can we make more money by giving you less, by making you come back for more, and by trapping you in a system that requires you to be online where we can make more money off you. That's why there's always online now. I am disgusted by it. I'm disgusted by it. I want to hear your opinion on this, guys. But here's the thing. Before I leave here, you have the power. Don't thank these gamers. Don't be a stooge to these gamers. Don't be a fanboy to these gamers. It doesn't matter if it's Bethesda, EA, whatever. You have the power. You are the consumers. Remember this. Right? You can choose to buy into these games. You can choose not to. The only way they're gonna change, really, honestly, don't buy into their stuff. Force their hand. That's the only way they're going to respond. Force their hand. I want you guys to understand that, because here's the thing. All the protests, my videos, all the videos from Review Tech USA, Angry Joe, Cornley, Young Yang, and every other gamer out there, big or small, doesn't matter, from YouTube. They can make as much rant videos as they want. At the end of the day, it is you, the consumers. It is me. If you hold your money back and don't buy into the nonsense and feel you have no choice, you do have a choice. See, that's the trick they always play with you. You don't have no choice. You got what it is. All this. No, no, no. Keep in mind, don't be conditioned for what they want you to think. Don't be a puppet to them. Okay? They're going to treat you with exactly how they feel that you should be treated. And that is a fool that we can easily nickel and dime you, because no matter what they do, you'll come back for more because you're a loyal fan to the franchise. I'm not saying not be a loyal fan to the franchise. What I'm saying is, don't be a fool and don't be a puppet to the franchise. This is why I don't really agree with fandom, because sometimes that can lead to misjudgment. I don't stick up for stupidity. I don't stick up for corruption. I don't stick up for shady business practices. I don't care what game it is. I don't care what movie store it is. I don't care what wrestling faction it is or whatever. You as a consumer need to show your disapproval. If you really hate what they're doing, do everyone a favor, do yourself a favor, and give a message to these companies and say, I'm not spending this money. I'm not spending $60 for an incomplete game. I'm not spending my money for a game that is not done. I don't care. I'm a fan of a WWE game or a Madden game or a NHL game or whatever game you choose to play. Because that's the only thing that will wake these guys up. That is the only thing. Okay? This is up to you. Lawmakers, they're going to be slow as hell, and you got to understand this, that they have lobbyists. They're going to try and fight this tooth and nail. The true change comes when we keep our money in our pockets and basically show our disgust through the sales. If we show that, they will listen. I'd like to hear your opinion. I'd like to hear what you have to say. Let me know in the comment section below. And with that, I'll move on to the next topic. Next story is pretty much combined with another story. I'm going to put them as one. And I'll conclude from there. The XFL Part 2. Now, there has been some story that came out. It is still a little blurry, but it involves a draftee who was excited to join the XFL after being with the AAF, a league that didn't even last a season. After, I believe, week 5 or 6, they was done, and it led to a whole lot of problems, which I will talk about later. Apparently, this draftee, which name escapes me right now, but it is something that I probably will talk again as the story develops more, because this is something I think that's going to really hurt the XFL. Because I've read some of the conditions of the salary, which it's it's mind-boggling. And this is something I think Vince needs to understand very clearly, that that's not going to fly. Especially when you even have leagues like the Canadian Football League and the NFL just in general are, at minimum, is making a lot more money than what Vince McMahon is offering. What Vince McMahon is offering is beyond insulting, in my opinion. This is poverty level insulting. And for those guys who are putting their bodies on the line for what this guy did, because by the way, he rejected the pay and actually rejected playing for the XFL. He's actually going for doing another profession that pays 4 times more than what the XFL is paying. But according to the paperwork, the XFL pay rate is $27,000 plus a win record, I believe, of $2,000 and a weekly match of $1,000. So if you add all that together, it can come up to anywhere between $28,000 to $31,000 yearly. Now, this is not including the playoffs, which I think is a little different scale. At least you hope. But either way, it is pretty much insulting, and it's overly cheap. This is below the poverty level by many cases, and it's just basically it's unattractive. And for a young team like this, I understand that they're a young franchise team, but $27,000 that you're asking for these guys is simply unacceptable. I don't know. I do not know what Vince McMahon was thinking when he made the salary cap. I do know he made some strict rules, which is very controversial. But a lot of people who have criminal records are not allowed to play in the XFL. You can take it for I'm not going to go too heavily into the debate. Is his choice. He's not the only one that's been implement that, even in actual businesses himself. He has the right to do that. I'm a little shaky about that itself, but whatever. But the salary here is just, these guys are making less than the actual wrestlers that actually wrestle for Vince. And according to some stories, average wrestler at minimum can make anywhere between $100,000 to $500,000. These guys are not even going close to that. And I don't know how serious you think you can actually make your wrestling if you are actually giving them pretty much almost below minimum wage. This is just bad. And it really does. And if I'm Vince, you need to really consider reconsidering the situation here. Because, again, if you're not offering medical insurance, which is something that has been a huge problem from the last XFL, then your league may not have a long term either. Now, to be fair, the AAF had a lot of problems. There was a lot of lies, deceit. I was actually hoping, because they did have a San Diego team that I actually was hoping that will survive. It was mostly a West Coast team. I also looked at the XFL, mostly East Coast team. But I was hoping that this league would survive. I feel there should be another football league that's out there. Have a summer league, in fact. I'm a little surprised that the NFL, the juggernaut they are, didn't do a summer league. I think it'd be perfect for a summer league. So I had strong hopes that the AAF would survive. And it didn't. And there's a lot of reasons behind that. One, from what you hear, the NFL wasn't going to play ball with them, as well as I'm not surprised that they didn't. Why would you? That's called competition. Why you're giving competition players that you might want to play for your team? They was lied to, because the moment this league folded, a lot of these players were left with a huge bill, left stranded, left paying for the injuries that they have attained from playing in this league, and the whole thing go on. I was amazed I didn't hear about a lawsuit coming out. But there was a whole lot of problems. And I'm saying, I hope, in my own feeling, and I didn't talk about this because I have my own personal issues to deal with, but I was hoping, personally, that the XFL and Vince McMahon will actually learn from the mistakes that these guys have done, learn from the mistakes from the past, and implement some new boundaries and guidelines, and also, some new structure that it will not happen again. Now, I'm going to be one bit fairer about the XFL. I don't know the salary back then. I don't know how much they was charging people that was actually paying, let me correct myself, paying the professional athlete that they had. So to say that this is something that's outlandish to a large degree, when I don't know how much he was actually doing it back then, when he first implemented the XFL, is a little bit unfair. It really is unfair. But at the same time, you got to understand, the economy was way different back then. $100 for me can actually give me more groceries than I can get right now. It's just a fact. And Vince got to understand that even though these players may come in, not every one of these players are desperate to get in, because some of these are actually looking at the gateway to either get back to the NFL or to actually prove that they was worth playing in the NFL. To me, that's the problem here, where I don't think that Vince learned. This is pretty much exploitation. Get the players that hasn't really done well in the NFL to come here and play for the XFL. That's my problem. I will admit that the low teams' names are better. It doesn't sound cartoonish. And it does look like they're trying better to learn from their mistakes. But to me, the salary is going to be a big, big nail biter here. You're not going to implement. You can't expect these guys to put their bodies on line for a salary that is almost as equal, almost as the same as a minimum wage worker. That's simply unacceptable. And to me, I won't be surprised if I hear more players just basically say, you know what, this is not worth it. Now, I think Russell Ranton have said something about, I hope that he's I hope he is giving these guys medical insurance, but knowing Vince McMahon and how he sees his employees as independent contractors, I seriously doubt it. Which means that's putting more burden on a already low, mediocre salary, and that's just unacceptable. And the only thing I can say is I hope these players be careful, be safe, and I hope there are measures to make sure they stay safe. Because God forbid they get hurt down and sudden they got a whole burden that they may not recover from. Because medical bills ain't cheap. And for $27,000 yearly, that's not going to cut the mustard. This is some of these guys who have a $10,000 bill or higher. Surgery alone could bankrupt some of these people. Football is the most physical sport. In case you wonder why I don't get too mad by hearing a guy saying getting a lot of money, because I can guarantee you right now that may be the only time they're going to get that much money, because there's no guarantee they're going to survive another 5 or 6, 7 years.
Dad, can I throw this out?
I want people to understand that. And listen, I'm keeping WWE, their product, away from this subject. This is not the subject I'm talking about. I deal with the wrestling at another time if you guys want me to. But to me, when a person who wants to see another football league other than arena football and Canadian football really much establish himself in America, in the United States, let me correct myself here. I feel Vince is not off to a great start. People are laughing at this right now. People are saying it is doomed to fail just on the salary alone. And frankly, I don't want them to fail. Especially after the fallout of AAF. A league that I was hoping that will do better than the XFL. People are already comparing, if they failed, what makes them think XFL failed? Here's the difference between the AAF and the XFL. I will say this. There was a lot of deception with the AAF. They was running on a negative from the very beginning. Vince McMahon has a billion-dollar empire. For him, he can actually afford to take a loss. The AAF needed to have a success running out the gate. And they simply wasn't doing it. They wasn't paying any bills. And they basically spent an operation which later folded. It was a mess. And to be perfectly honest with you, it was a disgrace. Because who ended up paying for it other than the fans, but for the older players who was promised this, and they was basically left out stranded. That whole thing was a mess. I was disgusted by what would happen with the AAF. I read up on that. I couldn't believe how badly managed that was, how poorly managed that was, how deceptive their practices were, how unrealistic of them maintaining a full season, which they didn't. They didn't make it as a full season. With Vince McMahon, to his credit, with the old XFL, he made it to a season. And probably would have had another season if he hasn't gotten so, pretty much macho. His ego got in the way because UPN said you need to shorten out either the wrestling for us to continue to make this into a credible thing. They wanted to continue it, but he got his ego out in the way. He got mad. He took his ball and go home. He thought he was doing everything right, which there was a whole lot of wrong. Now, to his credit, there was some good excuse my language, there was good games that I actually enjoyed from the XFL. There was some good concept that the XFL have. That's why I don't consider it the worst thing that ever happened. What was bad was you had Opie and Anthony being, in the pregame show, which had no business being in there. I actually like Opie and Anthony's shock jock humor. They can be controversial, but that's what you come expect. But they wasn't for football. You had this WWF/E angle going on with Jesse the Body, who was the governor of Minnesota at the time, picking a fight with the New York Hitman coach. This is not, and that's the whole thing I'm worried about with the XFL, but from what I understand, that isn't going to be part of the situation. Let's just hope so. He continued to make the same mistake with the Bodybuilding Federation. Not everything could be a wrestling angle. Football, people go to watch football for football. They don't need to see WWE on there. And he couldn't keep them separated from that. It was a turnoff, and the fact that he insulted NFL, guess what? NFL's been around for a long, long time, and they're going to be around a lot longer when you leave. But the mistake he made was he insulted not only the NFL fans, but his XFL fans, who are actually NFL fans, who wanted to give your league a chance, and they couldn't because, number one, you just basically insulted their intelligence. Now, it made the season. It could have made it a lot longer. But he the one that ended. He was the one that ended the NFL experiment. Yes, NBC bowed out and took the loss, but it was really him that actually ended the thing. Now he's coming back. The question is, has he learned from those mistakes? If he does, I have more faith in XFL lasting a season and beyond than pretty much that I think people give him credit for. And frankly, at this time, I want them to see it. I want them to learn. I want them to do everything they can. But he needs to understand one thing. One, he needs to understand that people's not going to be putting their bodies on the line for $27,000. Two, keep wrestling away from the product. People want to see football. People want to see good football. And that's it. 3, don't challenge the NFL. You will never beat the NFL. You're never going to come close to the NFL. What you can do is build a product that is as an alternative to football. If you do that, that's fine. I have more faith, and yes, this is a praise on Vince McMahon. I have more faith in him because he does have a resume than the other guys who basically lied to every player in that locker room. Every player. It was disgusting what happened in the AFL. And the effects are still being felt right now. The effects are still being felt. Now, the AFF, I haven't heard anything other than the fact that there were players who were mad. There were players that had to fork up medical bills. There were promised that they was going to get full coverage. That didn't have happened. Players got kicked out of hotels because they didn't fork on the bills, and it wasn't because after they closed down. It was because, number one, they didn't pay the bill for months on end. There was a lot of stuff that happened there. The players got royally screwed over that, and it's sad. It really is. You can only hope that there's a lesson learned, and you can only hope there's more caution to the wind when these new leagues come in. I know a lot of players who out there who wanted to have, this was a second chance of trying to make it to the big leagues. They looked at it like that. There was a second chance to show that they can actually be of the best of the best. And I feel that hopefully if they are going to go with the XFL, that they show that they're the best of the best. Personally, I don't know how much quality players you're going to get when you have a salary like that. I think someone high manager should tell them, hey, listen, man, you're not gonna cut it with this. You're not gonna get good quality players with that salary. You need to raise it up. But this is what happened when you have one guy running everything. That's the main problem here. He's one guy. It's not like one owner owns this team and one owner owns that team. He has a monopoly on the entire team. And his mindset is much more different than I think that actually everybody else's. I think it's a very hurtful mindset. I don't know how long this is going to last. But I'm hoping for alternative sake only that it actually succeeds. But if you want my opinion, it's almost impossible. The NFL has a strong grip on things and will continue to have a strong grip on things for years to come. The AFL was it was a doom project. From what you understand, there was again they didn't meet payroll, they didn't meet quota. I don't even know if they had what TV deal they had. I didn't see any of the games, and that's largely because there was no New York teams. I was happy that New San Diego had a football team because they got really screwed thanks to the Chargers. So hearing the San Diego Fleet and the history behind the name, I was cool. And for the record, I'm gonna say this honestly. I hope that the NFL will go back to San Diego because San Diego has a passionate football team. And take you know what, that football team that was called the San Diego Fleet should be an NFL team. Make that to an NFL expansion. Basically pissed off the guy who left there for no reason. But there was so much mistakes that I read it. I said, this is a criminal. This is a scam. These people was lied to. And there's no other way to put it. And when I first heard about the AAF, it was from the San Diego Fleet. I said, what new football team did the NFL? I thought it was an NFL team. I said, oh, they went back to San Diego. That's cool. Nope, that was AFL. I said, oh, I didn't know there was another team. And I heard the names. And the first thing I said, okay, this is cool. They're going on the markets, but where's Chicago? Where's New York? Where's LA? Where's San Francisco? What are things that actually meant to be successful? I didn't hear about the XFL because XFL was still a year and a half away. But that team was pretty much going to start right after the last Super Bowl. And they went off and running, and so far I said, okay, so far so good. But then I started hearing rumblings about them actually spending operations. At what's going on? Did you hear that they wasn't making payroll? Did you hear that they couldn't sustain? The moment I heard they said they was relying on the NFL for whatever reason it was, I knew that was the problem. So in other words, you're relying on another league that probably didn't want you to exist in the first place to exist. That's a problem. That's a huge problem. And then I heard they canceled operations. Then I heard their whole team folded. Then you hear about the whole thing about players being kicked out of hotels, being stranded, no way to go home, wasn't getting paid. It was a mess. And you find out why. How they lied about the operational standards, how they was hyping things up only to not come remotely true to what was going on. It was a mess. An absolute mess. So the AFL folded. And many people said, how would this affect the NFL? And the only question I said, not the NFL, the XFL. The only thing I say, it probably won't affect them because Vince McMahon has a different style. And Vince McMahon has billions of dollars in backing. The same thing with the WNBA. WNBA lost, I think, millions of dollars in the last few years, like $6 million, $7 million. But they have the NBA backing them. So it didn't really affect them. Unless the NBA stopped backing them, it's not going to affect them much. Vince McMahon has tons of money going in different directions. If he really is willing to take a loss, which I think he will eventually in this first season, because people are not hesitant to back another football league, especially a league that already failed the first time. That's something that's going to be a disadvantage for Vince. But he has the capital to, hold out for a few years and start making improvements. The only thing I can see that will hurt him is, will the TV contract that he has will agree to be patient with this product? That's a good question. Other than that, I don't see them fall in the same. Yeah, they could last the season, but I don't see them fall in the same situation as the AFF. The AAF was just a disaster in its own right. So we'll wait and see. But what's your opinion on this? I'd like to hear what your opinion. If you're a football fan in general, I'd like to hear what you have to say about this. And if you're a gamer who have listened to this podcast, I'd like to hear your opinion on this. Until next time, J77 saying be safe, take care, and I'll talk to you later. Bye-bye.